numerical modeling. This one is awesome. This is what is done right now on a regular basis. And there's also, in addition to that, the statistical forecasting. And that's sort of a blended thing. This one, the statistical, that's the one that's really useful. This is the one that we're mostly going to do, seeing as we don't really have access to the tools for this as much. So let's get into a little more detail. Synoptic forecasting, as you probably guessed, you use a synoptic weather map and you look at what the weather's doing, and then you say, this is what I think the weather's going to do next. It's basically what we've been doing really all class long. You see the weather, you look at what it's doing the night before, and you say, okay, the next day it's probably going to be like this. You use some of the information you know about what fronts do to help you with that, and use some information about, there's some precipitation, obviously it's raining there, probably going to rain near. So that's the synoptic weather forecasting method. Again, it's very old, all the way back to ancient cultures have been doing this. So really, we've got more advanced and we have better techniques now, but there still is some level of validity in synoptic weather map, synoptic style forecasting, and this is where the people come in. So there are several downsides to it. One, it relies very heavily on rules of thumb, like, oh, I feel it in my bones, it's going to rain, that sort of thing. It's very unpredictable, it's not really scientifically standardized, and that leads to a lot of problems. In addition to that, it doesn't really take into account a lot of the things that we know about, like what the winds are going to be doing, what the jet stream is going to be doing, etc., etc., etc. There's no modeling, which everybody loves models, so we should have more modeling. And there's no math. There's no math. And because there's no math, then there's also no fun. So let's talk about numerical forecasting. Here's a great example of numerical forecasting. You can see right here, it says 48 hours. Maybe you can see that. We're looking at the 500 millibar level, so you're looking at the winds aloft. But we look at winds, we look at information, and you can actually make an estimate of what is going to be happening. Here's another, here's some stuff about numerical modeling. You have to have a supercomputer. The biggest, fastest computers in the world are used for one of two things. One of them is numerical modeling for the weather. The other one is for protein folding for pharmaceutical companies so they can figure out how to make better drugs and stuff. But really, like the biggest, best computers in the world, it's on the ballpark of 56,000 computer equivalents, the level of computing power required to model mathematically. Just to give you an idea what that means it is doing the work of 56,000 computers. It's a lot of computers. A whole room full of computers. And actually, OSU has a weather prediction model that runs for Antarctica, and they actually rent out time at Buckeye Supercomputing to use their supercomputers. They use the majority of the computing power there. So really, it's several billion calculations, the best computers ever. That's what they're doing with this. And when you think about it, you got to remember, you've got pieces of air, parcels are represented by boxes. So every molecule is represented by a box, and then you basically run mathematical calculations on where the box is going to go. And it all is designed to mimic the actual atmosphere. So the more boxes you have, the higher resolution. The higher resolution, the more computing power you have. But it actually is possible to have a box representing every piece of air for the entire world. Think about our global wind circulation. Weather is a global phenomena, so we have to look at it globally. Now, a lot of it is based on mimicry. We're mimicking the actual atmosphere, and so we have futurecast is what it's called, the actual what the weather is doing now, and it just projects it out for 1 second. And that's pretty easy to do. All of us could probably think, okay, this is what is happening now. I throw this up, in 1 second it will probably be coming down. But then you look at that based on thousands of different points of view and extend it 1 second further, 1 second further, 1 second further, and we'll do that for 10 days with pretty astonishing accuracy. So take 1 second, 1 second, 1 second over millions of different perspectives, really billions of different perspectives, using mathematical calculations for 10 days. And they can run that in a matter of minutes, which is awesome. The way that they test the models, they actually have computer nerds that program out the models. And the way that they tell if the model's good, they actually run it against historical weather data and say, okay, run your model for 40 years. So you'll run it for 40 years of